The people want to know, what is sales strategy and why do they need it? And I'll break it up, 50%, 50%, 50%. Let's start with the first 50%, which is what is sales strategy?
Well, you know, here's at a very high level. Let's do the 30,000 foot view of sales strategy,
30,000 feet. People always go to 30,000 feet. Now you're a pilot.
I am. 30,000 feet is the air is very thin.
You need oxygen.
Great fuel efficiency up there, but you do need oxygen.
Yeah, it needs to be. Are we pressurized?
We are pressurized.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
So why does a company need sales strategy? Because they need to understand.
No, but he said, what is it?
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, you're going right to the why.
Oh, I do. I go right to the why. Why is that?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, time out.
Yeah.
You're at like step 5 or 6. I'm at step 1.
There we go.
Let's back it up.
It's great.
Boom.
Isn't it great?
Let's back it up. And let's talk about what is sales strategy.
Brings a tear to my eye. What is it?
So that was an example of using the strategy to get people back on track.
On track. Isn't it great? And he uses the stuff. That's what I love about him. So what is sales strategy? Sales strategy is the foundational principle of how you are going to sell your product or service, how you're going to get, your product or service out into the marketplace and find out whether or not there's a compelling reason for your prospects to buy. That's what it is.
So dive in a little bit deeper, and maybe it's what is the Sales Arbiter sales strategy? You know, if you're gonna fly 30,000 feet, and I know that our training was 3 days. That's a lot of stuff to cover in 3 days, right? That's a lot. I mean, you're going through every single compartment that we went through, and
that's right.
And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but when you're looking at someone that, like me, has no formal sales training, and you're trying to describe to us over 3 days of what is sales strategy and what does that look like in a tangible way,
right?
You know, what are some of those compartments? What are some of those, thought pieces or pieces of advice that you give folks like me that are going through, and we're just looking at you like, this should make sense, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So the first piece I go to, and Dan will jump in here, is that you really have to ask yourself, what's the end result, right? And the end result of the process that we use, the strategy that we employ, for our clients is this. We are desperately trying to disqualify our prospects from buying our product or service.
I want to stop. Did everybody hear that? Because that, when we went over it the first time, was so foreign to me that I'm looking at 2 of the best salespeople that I've ever met. And they are telling me that they are trying to get every prospect to not buy their product or service.
That's right.
But there's a reason, and dive into that. I just wanted to make sure everybody heard that before we just breezed right through it. Because it's so foreign.
Not buy. He said disqualify.
Disqualify.
Right. But it's not buy. By disqualifying, by putting forth that disqualification to the person, a lot of times they'll fight back and buy and try to qualify. And so the important thing is to get the prospect emotionally engaged. Listen, if you want a girl to fall in love with you, tell her you want to see other people. That's all you want to do. And then she's like, and so you can get that emotion, like, what's wrong with me? What, you don't like me?
Yeah.
And so they said, that's part of the strategy. Now, you don't use that if you don't want, don't use it for ill-gotten gains and things like that.
That's right.
There are some manipulative tactics that you use along the process if you know that you can help the person. If you can't, then it's improper.
That is a perfect segue into my next question, which is something that you guys covered during the 3 days we were together and on your podcast for the Sales Energizer, is what do you say to folks that, like your mom? You mentioned your mom when people ask her what you're doing now, and she doesn't really have an answer because she doesn't want to say you're in sales, I guess.
Yeah, well, your sales has a stigma against it, would you say?
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
how do you approach that?
That you're kind of evil and you're forcing things upon people and you're manipulating them into doing things they don't want to do. But in reality, what you're trying to do is fix their car. You got a broken car, we're fixing your car. It costs this amount to do it.
Yep.
You know, and we're fixing something. We're helping you. We're helping you make the right decision. But my mom doesn't see it that way because, she's 1,000 years old and, they've had enough. After enough years of being, pummeled with bad, it's tough for her to say, what does your son do? Oh, he's a salesman. So she's not going to say. She says, well, he's in between jobs.
That's hilarious. I love it. I mean, and if you got to think about the timeline that she lived in and how different sales looks today than it once did. Like she never bought a car. Yeah. The man bought the car. And if a woman came in to buy the car, then you just they did whatever they did to take advantage of that situation and all that. And things have changed because people have changed, but those old feelings run deep.
Right. That's right.
It makes sense. One thing that you guys during our training taught us is, if at any time you don't feel comfortable, please, tell me no. We'll leave as friends, whatever. One thing that I've found that works for me is if at any point it feels like I'm trying to convince you of something, I want you to hang up on me.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Because if I have to convince you to do this, then we're not a good fit.
That's right.
Excellent.
And every single person
is like, tell that to the camera. That's good stuff.
He just did.
You want to look at the camera?
I want you to look directly at the camera.
If at any point it feels like I'm trying to convince you of this, please feel free to hang up on me. Because if I have to convince you to do this, we're not a good fit.
That's it.
If people would just learn that one line, you're gonna double your closing ratio by listening to Hamiltonian.
Yep.
This isn't my podcast. This is your podcast. But that's something that I wouldn't have known to do had I not gone through your training, right?
Well, and you hit on it, Hamilton. This is the thing. The other thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out if there's truly a fit between our two organizations, right? I mean, because you said it best. If there isn't, no is okay. Yeah. Like I'm completely fine with that. And that's the difference between going in, the days of, hey, Hamilton, here's a pen, sell it to me. Yep. All right. Those days are over, man. Yeah. And if you think that you're going to be sold, I had a prospect, we're doing this email campaign. I had a prospect come at me and I said, well, our process is this. You get to talk to our CBO, CBO. which Dan is, our Chief Business Development Officer, right? Our CBDO. You get to talk to our CBDO, and if he thinks there's a fit between our two organizations, then we'll see where we can go from there. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, writes me back an email. He's like, you didn't do a very good job at selling me. And so I wrote him back, and I said, I got to tell you, I probably didn't, because I'm not trying to sell you. Yep. I don't even know if there's a fit between our two organizations. I don't even know what your need structure looks like. I have no idea if we can help you. Yep. Right? And so because I'm at that disadvantage, we actually have to have what's called a conversation.
God forbid.
And if you're not willing to have a conversation and take that step,
of course,
then we can't help you. Then you're not a good fit.
We never got a call back from that guy.
So we just
that could be the biggest blessing ever.
It absolutely is. So here's the thing: disqualify. Think about when you go into every sales event that you're trying to disqualify that prospect from doing business with you. And the reason I say that is because, man, the one commodity I've not figured out how to replicate is time. Like, I don't have time to spend with prospects that are not what I call in their buy cycle. Yep. If they're not ready to buy our product and service at this moment in time, and if they don't have a compelling reason to do that, and they don't want to invest the time that it's going to take for us to figure that out, forget about it. Get away from it. You know,
that's how you know he's not from New Jersey, because he just said,
forget about it.
Forget about it. What the heck was that?
Forget about it. Is that better?
Yeah,
so, but that's it. Because listen, I don't want to waste my time. First of all, I think of myself as a pretty compassionate guy. Like, I don't want to waste the time of my prospect.
Of course.
But I don't want to waste my time either. And that's the one commodity that I just don't have an abundance of.
Yep.
Right? I want to be with a prospect and with a company that understands that they have this void to fill, and that there's a good connection with us, and that we can help them in some way. Yep. I mean, our best clients are the ones that we have top, high level engagement with, because they're the ones that really get it. Like, they understand, they have a knowledge base that we need to figure out, right? And then they're willing to try something different. They're willing to apply, these processes, these strategies, these tools that we give them, the proprietary tools that we've built to help them grow their businesses multiple. Yep. They're open to that. If they're not open to it, don't call, man. Don't email.
That's such a good point. And it's something that I think is kind of glazed over sometimes. You can find out a lot about the type of client someone will be by the type of prospect they are. The type of clients I want are not the ones I have to sell. They're the ones that want to buy.
That's it.
I'm looking for the folks that at the end of that sales process, it feels like they went shopping and they bought what they needed. Not that they were dragged to the car dealership and they had a guy come meet them and put them in every vehicle they didn't want to drive, and then afterwards force them to sign on the dotted line. That's not fun for either one of us, and it's starting the relationship off on a bad foot. It just seems like what you guys do with the strategy that you teach and the process that you have it's a DTR. It's define the relationship.
DTR.
It's define the relationship, and you are doing it up front. This is how we handle our business. This is the type of person that we're looking for. This is the type of people that we are. Yep. And if we are a good fit, let's continue this thing. But at any point, if we're not, please save my time, and I promise to save yours as well, and we'll just end it with a no, and we'll still be friends. I'll even take you out for a bourbon one day.
That's right.
Whatever. But at the end of the day,
they'll fight for it. Well, you see, so there's two different technologies that you talked about there, and you ended it with the right thing. There's prospecting, which is a particular type of sale, of gaining interest. And then there's the actual sales process where you're doing those other things. So finding out a need. So when you talk about the sell me this pen, I mean, I could sell you this pen for $50 right now.
Right.
If I make it a compelling enough reason to do it. So here's the compelling enough reason. I take a $100 bill and I wrap it around the pen and I say, $50 and it's yours.
Right.
And I could sell it right there. But that's what when you talk about the technology at the beginning to gain somebody's interest, it has to be that compelling for someone to say, okay, let's talk. Because people's time is so valuable right now. They're not willing to take this 30 minutes, this 40 minutes for a discovery call for something that's not important. But if you say, hey, listen, $100, let's have this conversation, whether it goes anywhere or not, you're going to get them. So you need to be confident enough that your product, that you find the right fit for people to go actually through that sales process with them. And then you can quantify it with how much money it's worth to do that.
That's right.
You mentioned something that's so important, and that is
just one thing.
Noticing.
I mean, it was like a bucket full of gold. And he says, I got one nugget.
And he takes one little nugget out of the top.
Don Draper on Mad Men says you can only ever sell one thing at a time. And so he's like my hero.
Far be it from me.
Yeah, that's right.
What you said, or what you hit on at least, is the changing climate of sales. We live in 2020 where it is a consumer-driven climate.
That's right.
If I want something, I can have it now and it'll be at my doorstep tomorrow. Right? That changes the way that sales happens. The way that people buy changes the way that you guys, that I, and anyone that goes through your process or doesn't sells. Right? How does that play into the need for companies to have a sales strategy, right? We've talked about what the strategy is. How does the climate change the need or capitalize the need for a company to have a sales strategy?
Yeah, so here's what you're saying, and I'm going to reframe it a little. Is we live in a world of instant gratification. Yeah, the days that we used to. I used to have to mow lawns, work at my parents' restaurant. I used to have to save my money, and then my parents, I'd split the cost of my tennis. If I wanted the $100 tennis shoes or, because back then it was all about your shoes, right?
Of course,
and how you dressed and stuff like that for school. And so if I wanted the nicer clothes and whatever, if I wanted that, I had to put some skin in the game.
Pony up.
Right? Nowadays, it's just like, oh, my kid wants that. I'll go on Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, instant gratification. We're hungry. We go to one of the fast food joints, and God forbid they get the order wrong, or if something happens,
takes too
because they won't even know.
long.
Because the next time, instead of going to the Burger King, you'll just go to McDonald's.
Yep.
You go to Five Guys. You'll go somewhere else, right? They won't even know they've lost you.
Yep.
And the mistake that they made, because we live in such an instant, gratification society. So we're in the business that we're in, constantly fighting about, fighting. I say fighting, but it's a push-pull with our clients, because at the end of the day, we kind of have to remind them the lack of sales strategy, the lack of sales process, the lack of sales. This didn't happen in a day. And I'm not going to be able to fix it in a day. I'm just not. I'm not.
Of course.
I'm good, but I'm not that good, right? Got to implement. Sometimes we have to implement sales resources. Sometimes we have to implement, processes. We have to do the training. I mean, there's a whole structure to what we do, and that's exactly what's happening. We're bringing a structure to all of these companies that have never ever had one, and that's why I say it's not like this riddle wrapped up in an enigma. It's a process. You follow the process, you have success, it's customized for your business, we grow. I mean, I know that sounds simple, really hard when you don't have those foundational pieces in place, though.
I think I like it so much because it reminds me of flying. I think that's why you're going to make a great pilot, is because it's a checklist. Everything's about the checklist. It's about following the process. And of course, you're going to get good enough to where you're like, I've memorized the checklist, I'm going to throw it to the seat. And inevitably, you're going to forget something. You're going to forget to untie one of the wings, and when you start going, you're going to turn when you're not turning, and that's a problem because you're still attached to the ground, right? And we'll talk about it later.
There's always that's the last thing on the checklist is walk around,
and you've got to walk around, right? But it's the first time you run through the checklist, it might take you an hour. But by the time you've run through the checklist enough, you're confident enough to where you're still holding it, and that's not a sign of immaturity. That's a sign of maturity. Right. That you're still holding onto the checklist. You're still going over, your compartments, and you're reading through the DISC profiles before you take that sales call, and you're reading through those affirmations that you talk a lot about. That doesn't show that you're in the beginning stages of your training. That shows that you're mature enough to continue to do that because you know it works.
Sharpening your knife. Yep.
You're not going to fly a plane without that checklist.
That's right.
Yeah, the process is needed because your senses get dulled after a while, and that's what and it's like that in a marriage. If you're not constantly working on your marriage, it's just going to get dull after a while, and then you don't know what's happening at the end. You just got to keep that thing. And what happens is we deal with a lot of business owners, a lot of small business people that have companies that have grown to 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million. They're still a small, but these are guys and gals that hustled. I mean, they built their business because they're a very common refrain in these businesses. If I could just clone myself, everything would be fine. How many times do you hear that, right? Well, but there's no cloning of yourself, and you're doing everything. And yes, you have a process, but it's all you.
Yep. And
so you, by definition, limit yourself and limit the business because the time limitation. I get up early, but I get up at 4:30. But that's about my limit. My day is from 4:30. By the way, 8 o'clock, I'm toast.
I bet you are.
No critical thought after 8 o'clock. I don't go to sleep but if you want to sell me something, 8:15, whatever you want. There you go.
I'm buying.
My wife called me the other day. She sent me a text. She goes, I found the car that I want. I'm going in to talk, price now. And you know what I said to her? This was like late at night. I said, have fun. And she goes, you didn't even ask me what kind it is. I'm like, I don't even care at this point. I'm toast. That's my limit. I'm from 4:30 to 8.
It's incredible. Even Usain Bolt has to sleep. So
even what?
Even Usain Bolt has to sleep.
Oh my gosh, that guy is.
He's the fastest man in the world,
and he just looks so good.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I looked like one.
You're the Usain Bolt of sales, though. That's what I'm saying. Even you have to sleep.
I got to lose 10 pounds.
But
Usually it's real easy, you know. You just stop. You know, I don't
know about easy.
I used to watch. I have a quirk thing. I like cooking shows, but I like the old ones. You know, like with Julia Child and stuff. It was a weird. Even as a kid, I used to watch it. I know it's crazy. Do you even know who Julia Child is?
I do not.
By the way, Julia Child,
Yeah.
who was she's like not a very attractive woman, but she was like a French chef, and she had an old PBS show and all this thing. But you may not know this. A spy in World War II, because everybody knew her, so she'd go to France and all of a sudden she was a spy for America.
There we go.
And so
had
here
no
you
idea.
think she just knows how to cook. Anyhow,
Yeah.
Cooking up the secrets.
everybody was getting all fat, and
should've
so
been
there was
book.
there was
That's
a
a good book idea.
time what they were talking about. How do you eat this good food and lose weight? And Julia Child, Wisdom of the Ages. By the way, my book, you have to get my book, Sales Proverbs, Wisdom of the Ages.
It's great.
This is her line to how to eat good food and lose weight. She says, eat less. Isn't that great? And that's what sales is. How do I make more sales? Talk to more people.
Right.
You know, and they pay us for this.
Yeah,
you know?
they pay us for
These
this.
people pay us
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah,
but,
it's crazy.
But, you know, a lot of times you just need that stuff. And people are afraid, you know, to make that initial call, to make that initial try, to get out there. And so, you know, you work them through that with these plans. But really, a lot of the work we do is in people's heads.
What's so great about what you guys do is that it's not 3 days and hey, good luck. Send you out into the world.
Right,
It's, you know, we have a sales meeting with you every Wednesday where we have that accountability. And then on Fridays, we have continued training. And so, you know, Fridays, 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks after our 3 days together, I noticed kind of forgot about that part. You know, I didn't know that compartment, I'd forgotten it came before the other compartment. I've been totally skipping over that.
Right.
But it's that continued, we're not just going to feed you to the sharks. We're going to go swim with you.
Yep.
And we're going to show you, you know, how to turn shark meat into dinner, right? Rather than
You
you
ever had
being
shark
dinner.
meat?
I haven't. Is it good?
I have. It's actually really
Well,
good.
there's a shark fish,
Yeah.
which isn't like an actual shark. Or is it just shark?
It's shark.
Is it shark?
Shark is a
It's
fish.
a shark. It's
Yitzhak
shark.
over here is laughing at it.
Yeah, shark. Guess what, Dan?
Yeah.
Shark meat is actually shark.
But there isn't
There's
there
a whale shark.
I think there's a shark fish.
I don't know.
I could be
I
wrong.
don't- You are.
We have to talk to
all right.
Steve.
But you've never had it.
What?
Shark.
I've had shark, yeah.
Oh, you
I
have?
I had. It's like a steak.
Yeah,
it was
sure.
like a shark steak.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it
Okay,
was
yeah.
delicious.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
You
with a
remember.
little lemon and pepper.
Okay,
yeah.
that's good.
That's
That's
great.
good. That's good.
What?
That's good. Well, there you go.
Well, listen, we had a client, still have a client, Steve Haywood. Great guy, great business. And I was talking to his wife, and his wife said, "How did you get him as a customer?" She goes, "Did you talk about fishing?" I go, "What?" She goes, "That's all you got to do with this guy. Talk about fishing, and you're in." I'm like, had I known,
Yeah,
that would have been
that's
the
a
perfect
golden nugget.
Yeah,
Right there.
But so after that, I started talking to him about fishing. Oh my gosh.
That was it.
Yeah, that's it. Now he is a great guy, and we are going to go fishing together.
Yeah.
But that she knows that she protects him
Yeah.
from that fishing
that's right.
story.
Well,
That's
that
right.
one thing that you said a couple of minutes ago, which is, you know, make more sales, is such a common sense statement, but it's what you guys get paid to do, is
That's
to
right.
remind folks what should be common sense. Another one is listen, and what a difficult thing that is to do.
Hard.
You think you do it every day. I listen a lot every day until you realize that you might be the one just dominating every conversation.
That's right.
And as a salesperson, you should take pride in the fact that someone wants to talk to you, right? You have to take that step back and be mature enough to say, hey, I'm asking the right questions that I can elicit the response that I need to gather the information so that I could make an educated guess as to what proposed services would fix this guy or girl's problem.
I've watched this guy bite his own tongue, literally bite his tongue.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said
'Cause
you
you
even
wanna
have
talk-
like almost scars on your
the side
tongue.
of my tongue. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Because you have to. So you know, you talk about bringing it back to the reinforcement piece that you talked about earlier. You know, once you go through the training, you know, it's very important to make sure, you know, that we're reinforcing, you know, those techniques and that sales process time and time again. And the reason it's so important is because it's not normal. It's not natural.
Yep.
You know, we want to go back to those old records. We want to go back to doing what we did before because it's more comfortable. You know, we're intimate with that.
Yep.
And so, you know, and the listening piece is also a big part of that. You know, active listening is such a big part of what we do. You know, on these podcasts, this is the most you'll ever hear me talk. Because when I'm in a sales event, you're not going to hear this.
Of course.
And the only time that I am going to talk is going to be in the right compartment. Yep. You know, and basically what I'm talking to is the need or the need that you shared with me. Specifically. And that's what I'm going to talk about and telling you how we're going to help you fix that. Yep. Okay? And so I'm not going to bring in like this wealth of knowledge and watch your eyes glaze over and I can almost hear you thinking, you know, why is this guy even telling me this when I'm not interested? You know, quick story. So one of my sales reps, he says, listen, Chris, I might be a little late for lunch because I'm looking to go buy a new car. And I want to head over to the Mazda dealership that's real close by, you know, the office. I said, that's fine. Go ahead. You know, his name's Curtis. Great guy. So he goes and he said, so maybe I'll be 15 minutes late or whatever, you know, 15 minutes late, whatever that looks like. So I said, so before he left, I said, what are you looking for? He goes, you know, just kind of a daily driver, 4-door sedan, you know, nothing, no big deal, right? Just something I can get to and from work. And eventually he actually shared this with me too. He said, you know, my son's going to be 16 soon, so maybe something will get us to the next 2 or 3 years, and then I'll just give it to him. Yeah, I said, great, sounds good. So he goes, man, if he doesn't come back, and I checking my watch, and he gets back, and you know, hour and 15, hour 30. So I said, Curtis, you find anything? Waste of time. I said, what? He said, absolute waste of time. I go, why? He goes, well, I walk into the dealership and there's nobody there, you know, just to greet me right away. So I'm standing around and they have this loaded SUV. It's right in the middle of the showroom. Their highest end one, you know, all these bells and whistles and everything. And finally a salesperson comes over and says, you like this SUV? Let me tell you about it. And he starts. And he tells them every detail about the SUV, opening the doors, doing all this stuff, and finding out, literally just wasting his whole lunch hour. And finally, after about 20 minutes, Curtis said, listen, I'm not interested in the SUV. I'm interested in actually, just kind of something to get me, to and from work, and looking for a sedan. I saw a couple out there. I'm kind of interested in these models. And, the guys were like, well, don't you think this SUV would make you such a nicer vehicle? And he's just like, at that point, I said, you know what? I'm going to swing back by. He said, maybe I'll swing back by on the weekend and take a look at your inventory and see what you've got. And the sales rep was like, okay, sounds good. And
completely oblivious.
Went and grabbed lunch and came back to the office. He had no idea because he didn't do any questioning strategies, any active listening. I mean, and we call that, in the training, we call it Sales 101, because it's the salesperson that you think you should be, right, is completely opposite of the salesperson that you really are in the event, or what you should be trained to be.
Strong.
Right?
Can't argue with that.
Can't argue with that. He doesn't talk much in a sales event, but he does sing. Someday when I'm awfully low.
I love it. I love it. I don't. The song that keeps popping in my head, and it's a fantastic sales song, is by Smash Mouth. That "I'm a Believer" song off of Shrek.
Right.
And if you can get them to see your face and make them a believer.
Wait, that's a Smash Mouth? I thought that was like the Monkees.
It probably is. Smash Mouth.
And I saw her face. Yeah. How I'm a believer.
But Smash Mouth made the Shrek version, which is the one I have in my head.
The Shrek version.
Yeah,
the Shrek version.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, get it right,
well,
Dan.
no, I'm a big fan of Shrek.
Isaac,
I'm not like
cue the "I'm a Believer" song.
I'm not like an anti-Shrekker.
You're not anti-Shrekker.
I'm a Shrek man.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's good that you're not
Hey,
anti-Shrekker.
Shrek was a good salesman. He got a princess.
I know.
Right? And you know how he got her? Come on, we're going.
Come on. Oh, that's right.
It was the perfect disqualify. Never saw Shrek as a sales movie, did you?
Yeah.
I saw. You know what the best sales book of all time is?
What's that?
And we should.
This should be good.
It's a big one.
This should be.
It's a children's book, or you think it's a children's book, but it's that. I think I can. I think I can with the railroad going up to the top. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And he keeps going back. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And finally, he gets there. It's that persistence that keeps you going. I think I can.
Right. That's good. That's almost a drop the mic moment.
Stick with me, kid.
Please don't drop the mic. I've been asking you this. Hey, guys, thanks for your time. I can't afford your time.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for being in the room with me. Thanks for just, the pot runneth over.
All right. Thanks for having us.
That's it. And we got to thank Yitzhak over here. We're taking care.
The Wizard of Oz.
Yitzhak is the Jewish version of Isaac.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks, guys.
All right.
Keep it up.
We will.
There's nobody like you guys. Don't change.
Thanks, Hamiltonian. You're the best.